Nice of you to join.
Hello.
Just 2 hours late.
Some jerky.
Oh, that makes up for it. Well, it's about that time of year again where we're kind of almost in spring for Colorado, but a lot of the trails are still closed because we're getting false spring, false summer. It's warm and then it's cold, it snows and then it's sunny. Now, this is actually the first camping video that I'm bringing you guys for this new year, and it's technically my 4th night out so far. All 4 nights done in my Tundra. As you guys know, I've been using OnXoffroad for about 5 years now, and I've been working with them for about 3, maybe 4 years. And this is a tool that I use to plan out adventures like this. They actually passed off a 20% discount code from me to you guys, so if you're interested in planning your own adventures like this, then check them out at the link in the description. I've been keeping a close eye on a lot of my favorite trails in Colorado, and a lot of them are still closed. You can tell by the way they look on the map, but also with real human trail reports, people who actually go out, scout this stuff, and let you know when there are closures. So I opted for this area, which I know pretty much stays open all year round, even though up here in higher elevation, we've got about a foot of snow on the ground in some places. I like to use recent imagery as well as snow imagery to actually check out these trails. Even though that they say that they're open, there's definitely snow coverage on them, and that way I have a better idea of what it's gonna look like when I get out to my location. So again, there's a 20% discount code for that in the description down below. You guys can support these videos by giving OnXoffroad a try. You can download a trial and use it for 7 days, or you can just sign up for the subscription, save some money in the process, and it costs about less than a tank of gas for an entire year, so check them out. So, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Talon and I make new videos every single week. This is the first camping video of the year, which is really late for me. I'm typically getting like over 100, sometimes close to 150 nights of camping per year. And this year has been slow because of all of the crazy travel and other projects that I've been working on. That being said though, this is my 4th night out in my new Tundra setup with the Antishanty Dwell Shell on the back. I brought you guys a walkthrough video of this camper shell setup, so if you haven't checked that out yet, I'll leave a link for it right up here in the corner. I wanted to let this marinate a little bit. I wanted to spend some time with it, set it up with some new things, some additions, camping gear and things like that. And I really wanted to get a good idea of how I'm gonna be using this thing before I brought you guys along for the adventure, and that's what we're doing today. Man, it is windy up here. We are on top of a mountain. I've got a beautiful view of Pikes Peak in the background, which you guys probably can't see, but I'm going to give you guys a rundown of this camper and how I have it set up now. There have been a lot of questions, comments, concerns in the previous video where I showed you guys like the full walkthrough of this thing, and I'm going to address some of those, show you some of the functionality that I added, and I'm also going to talk about some future plans in this video. It looks like I'm camping by myself right now, but we may have someone joining in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Let's check out the Dwell Shell. Now, before we get into the actual setup of what I've put in like the cap portion of this bed, I do want to address a few things that people were talking about as far as the setup goes and how the dwelling portion of the Dwell Shell actually works. Trusty old ladder, because the Tundra is so tall. This just makes my life a lot easier. Getting in and out of the bed of this truck. Does that mean I'm getting old? Am I old because I'm carrying a ladder? So in that initial walkthrough video, I had only set this thing up like maybe 3 different times before. I've definitely gotten much more accustomed to it at this point. So I'm gonna unlock it and then we will do a in real time setup. It honestly doesn't take all that long, but I wanna show you guys and actually put a timer on the screen too, so you can see how long this takes me. I did also read some comments about concerns of closing this thing up. So this is gonna be a full camping video. I'll show you guys putting this thing away sometime tomorrow morning. But for now, we are going to put this thing up. Hopefully I don't run into any snags and we will see how long it takes. I'm gonna say definitely under a minute. We're gonna start the timer as soon as I push the top up in 3, 2, 1, go. Side panels fold down really easily. Then the front panel, you just have to duck a little bit. And we're done. So everything is set up now. If you want to count this as part of the setup, I do like to actually close these latches, and then I'll even lock those too, just to keep them extra secure. But if I had to guess, I would say that was like less than 30 seconds. I'm sure I'll get faster at it too as time goes on, but I could close up all these doors and go to sleep very quickly. Speaking of closing these doors, it is windy and chilly. Luckily I brought my diesel heater, so definitely gonna be using that tonight. Now, since the plan is to hang out in here, I feel no wind, which is a big perk of a hard-sided dwelling on here. I'm actually gonna make a little bit more room in here. So I'm gonna pull this panel off here, and then I'll just stow it right up here on the sleeping area until it's time to go to bed. Tons of room up here, again, if you guys have not seen the walkthrough video, and there's actually some new additions down below, so let's talk about those. I'm actually breaking one of my own rules right now. So what rule am I breaking? No shoes on the new rug. What am I doing? I even brought extra shoes just for this. I got my orange slippers over here to keep dirt and snow and everything out of the bed of the truck. So all of the flooring in this truck right here is a new bed liner. It's called a BedRug, and you can get them at realtruck.com. I've heard about them in the past, but I never really had the need for something like this until I made the inside of my truck bed livable. There's a few different options that you can pick from, and I just opted for simply the floor of the entire truck. They do have some that come up the walls, which will insulate it and give you kind of like carpeting up the sides, but the plan is to build all of this out, so I didn't want to go that far yet. The install of this was pretty simple. I added kind of an extra step for myself because I have the Versatrax L-track mounts in between the rear bed bolts. So I simply pop the bed rug inside of here. I use some adhesive promoter wipes to actually wipe down the bed liner of my truck. If you don't have the spray and bed liner, you don't really have to worry about that. And then there are a few strips of Velcro that I place pretty much like in each corner, and then 2 main strips that run up the middle. The extra step that I did was I actually took a razor blade and cut out some of the foam where my Versatrax mounts are. That way in the future, if I want to actually like strap something down in here, I can cut a little slit in the top of the cover and actually put some L-track mounts down to the floor. So this is a really nice addition to the whole bed area for a few different reasons. One, it makes it a lot more comfortable back here. I can walk around barefoot and I don't have to worry about all of the ridges in the bed. Two, because it's made out of foam, it actually does insulate the bed back here a little bit too. Granted, I don't really have insulation on the shell portion down here. This is actually insulated, and the top portion, that's all insulated as well. But at least when I'm parked on top of like a foot of snow like I am right now, with the cold air running underneath the truck, this foam and carpet here will give me just a little bit of a barrier. I have the whole rear open right now, and it actually feels fairly nice in here because the wind isn't blowing through and the floor isn't cold. And then the third thing is, if you want to use this thing as an actual truck and you want to haul around lumber or dirt, gravel, whatever it may be, all I have to do is remove the Velcro and pull this thing out. When I clear the bed out again, all I have to do is throw it back in, slap it down on the Velcro, and I'd be good to go. So it does make it quite a bit homier in here, which is a nice touch. I mean, I could walk around here barefoot and I feel like I'm on carpeting at my house. Now let's start talking about some of the gear that I have organized in here. I've got a pretty decent setup going so far, and yes, it's very modular and kind of bare bones, but I like it. I like modular, and I like being able to bring things with if I need them or leave them at home if I don't. One of the things that I definitely will need is my diesel heater, so I'm actually going to throw my boots back on and we will go set this up. Now, as for the diesel heater hose pass through on the dwelling portion is found right here. So what I like to do is hang the heater out the side of the camper here. These are something that you will see a lot of if you've watched any of my videos. These are perfect bungees. This is like the spider web net here. And since I have a molly panel on the outside here, I like to just kind of like rig this up to hold the top handle of the diesel heater. And then I just simply let it rest right there up against my tire. So for this one, I'm just gonna keep it pretty simple. I'm just gonna use one of those, another one right there. The rest of these I will just keep right here inside the camper. And then the good old Chinese diesel heater here with a simple hose, and I added this attachment right here. This is a reducer, or I guess you could say it increases the size of the hose from a 4-inch down to a 3 here. So I got a hose clamp on there, and this should in theory fit perfectly in the little hole up there on the side of the dwelling. I really wish there was a better option for diesel heaters. There are some really expensive like all-in-one units out there, which is cool, but this thing works the same. It's about 200 bucks on Amazon. And unless I'm buying a diesel heater to like permanently fix, maybe somewhere here in the bedside, I just can't really justify spending like $4 on a heater. Maybe I would test one out at some point, but for now, it's kind of ghetto looking, but it works. The power cord I'm just gonna throw inside here. I'll hook that up to a battery once I actually need to turn this thing on. And now, since all of the doors on the shell portion here have a really nice gasket, I can actually close it with the bungees and the cable hanging out there, and it's not gonna cause any issues. Now my truck is super tall. I do not have C4 sliders on here yet, but I believe they're in the works. They're gonna be coming out soon. I have to stand on my door or stand on my tire to get up there. Now, moment of truth. Will this Amazon find fit in that hole nice and snug? Oh yeah, that is perfect. It's like it was made for it. It's got a nice seal to it, and now hot air will be pumping inside of these walls. Now I also have a battery inside of the camper, but this little jackery right here is what I actually use to power this, because the 12-volt car socket that the diesel heater plugs into, it will trip larger batteries. I've talked about this before. It doesn't seem like this has like a fail-safe on it. So when I fire up the diesel heater for the first time, it'll draw like 120 watts, but then once it's actually fired up, it just sips on power. Some bigger batteries with more technology packed in them, it actually won't even let the diesel heater turn on, because once you get a draw of over like 100 watts, maybe 120, it will actually turn off that 12-volt port. This tiny little jackery just does the job, and it'll last all night. Now for this battery, I like to just sit it back here on my bench. I've got some random bags and storage items, which I can give you guys a rundown of. I just like to sit it here, pull the power cable in, and plug it in just like that. That way the battery is out of the cold. A little bit of residual warmth from up top will trickle down here, and it will keep that battery from freezing, and it'll run all night long. I know, because I've been using this setup for a while now. Now let's go through the gear on this side of the bed here. This is where I just have some extra pillows and blankets hanging up. These hooks are an option from Antishanty, and I really like them because if it is summertime and I have all the doors open, I can actually reach out of the truck, I can reach into the truck from here, but for now, these hooks just keep everything from flying around. I've got an aeronaut quilt, I've got a Baja quilt from Born Outdoors, and then a Rumple camp pillow. I also have big pillows in my bench that I'm sitting on. I won't actually need any of that stuff tonight, because what I've been sleeping on for now is the Born Outdoor Badger bed. Talked about this before. I actually spent a night with me and my fiance on this thing. This is the 30-inch wide version, and it was freezing cold last weekend. It was about 17 degrees. I didn't have my diesel heater with me, so we just kind of curled up together on this thing, and we made it through the night. It wasn't the worst thing ever. The 25-inch wide version is definitely only going to be good for one person, but the 30-inch, if you're comfortable with the person, you could kind of sleep 2 people on it, because we did it. Now I have a lot of straps like this right here. This is a roller cam strap. I use these in conjunction with the Perfect bungees to keep everything from sliding around the bed of the truck. And I just kind of threw this system together really quickly, but it's been really nice so far. Right here I have my camp kitchen box, and then my Born Outdoor bedroll. I just have this thing clipped with a carabiner to my molly panel, and this thing just simply goes up top until I'm ready to use it. Now for my bench setup back here. What is this thing? Simply just a place to sit. I've got 2 different blankets on here. Just acts as a little bit of cushion because this is actually a Roam Adventure Co box. I figured since right now I don't have the time to really build anything out back here, throwing a Roam box here would be a really good idea. And so far, it's been super useful. It acts as a bench when we're hanging out, but then I also keep some gear in here as storage. Whenever I'm camping, I do like to have full-size pillows whenever possible. So 2 pillows in there. I have an extra 100-watt solar panel that I can plug into my battery source for the camper. Then I have an extra blanket as well, but I won't be needing that tonight. I actually have this Roam case kind of tethered down to some D-rings in each corner here. That keeps it from banging around up against the bulkhead of the truck, and it keeps it from sliding left and right as well. And then over on the left-hand side as I'm sitting here, I have a little bit of water, just using gallon water jugs right now. And I have my fire pit. This is the new Howl R1. You've probably seen me talk about this somewhere on the internet before. Haven't given it a full review yet, but you guys will see that eventually. This thing does great in cold temperatures and in wind. It has to be like hurricane winds to get this thing to blow out, and I've actually never even seen it blow out. I've seen water dumped on top of one of these and it just reignited right away. So I may break that out later tonight if someone joins me, but for now that's just strapped like a little barnacle to, I believe this is a 13-pound propane tank. It's like the medium-sized propane tank, and that'll give me plenty of fuel to burn that thing for a couple of hours each night. In this little Vertex stackable bag down here, I just have some toiletries like toilet paper, paper towels, things like that if we decide to cook tonight. And then on my Molly panel cabinet here, I've got another cooktop, which you access from the outside, another piece of gear, which I need to set up, and then I have an extra camp chair too. I have one camp chair that I can access from the outside of the truck, and then I have one right here on the inside. I strapped an MK outdoor lighter to that, and that's what I use to light my Howl R1. And that brings us to kind of the final piece of the puzzle right over here. This is a power system that I showed you in my walkthrough video, and as you can see, it is 100% full right now because this thing is actually plugged into the hard-mounted 100-watt solar panel on the roof of the camper. I have not taken this thing out of the truck since I installed the camper, so it is completely fueled by solar at all times, and so far it's been really great. Now the DJI power station has a few different options. It has these like proprietary ports over here, which I don't love, but it did come with accessories, so it is actually really functional. Right here I have one for the solar port, and then right here I have a 12-volt plug, and that is what is powering the fan up top. It's powering all of my Kingpin equipment lights all throughout the inside of this camper. And then I also shoved a phone cord down here, which I'll use up top tonight. And then right here on the AC ports, I've actually plugged in yet another battery, and that is for my fridge setup. Now this fridge I have done a video on in the past. This is the Iceco APL 35, and it's a small fridge, but it's good for solo adventures. It is split into both a fridge and freezer combo. Don't have a ton of food in here right now because I'm doing some peak meals for dinner tonight. But this thing happens to fit perfectly between the tailgate and the inside wheel well here. I tucked the Iceco battery back here behind the fridge. Fits there pretty perfectly. This stuff actually isn't even strapped down, but it hasn't been moving while I'm bouncing around off-road. So if the fridge ever gets low on power, or I should say the battery system gets low, simply turn on my main battery and it will recharge that thing. Since it's cold right now, I probably won't have to charge that thing for a few days because if it's like 30 degrees outside, I only have that set to 32, so everything in there should be fine. And then I guess the only other thing to mention here is Molly panels everywhere. So I just found a little Molly bag in my basement, and I don't even have anything in here right now, but I'm probably gonna deck this thing out with a bunch of different bags and panels, one for toiletries, maybe one for like fire starting stuff, maybe some kitchen utensils, forks, knives, plates. I actually really wanna find a Molly paper towel holder that I could like snap in here and have paper towels accessible really easy at the tailgate. So if you guys know of anything like that, let me know in the comments down below. So that's a basic rundown of how I've set my Dwell Shell up and how I've been using it. There are definitely some things that I will add and do in the future. Like I said, I kind of want to build this out as like a permanent fixture in here. Well, not permanent, but more permanent than just a box. It would be nice to have sort of like a kitchen area and then sort of like a work area. I've been thinking about possibly adding some kind of like slide out table underneath my Molly cabinet over here. So I could just sit right here and get some work done. Or if I want a standing desk, I just put my computer right up here and stand up in the cab. And then I can work and edit while standing in the comfort of my truck. I'm pretty stoked on it right now, and this is winter camping, which to be honest isn't my favorite. It's nice because not a lot of people come out when the weather is the way that it is right now. So it's a lot more peaceful. I get to see landscapes that I'm looking at right now. I mean, Pikes Peak looks beautiful, completely covered in snow, and I haven't heard another vehicle up here since I got here. So it's nice coming out in the winter, but I'm really excited to test out the Dwell Shell in the desert, more summer, kind of like warmer climate, just so I can have all the doors open. I can use my fan at night, and I think that's going to be more my vibe, but it's good for winter camping too. Now the last piece of gear that I have not set up yet is found right here. I've got my little Starlink Mini in tote. So what I've been doing is running the power cable through this side of the shell over here, and then I'll just set this thing up on my roam box on my roof. That way I can stay connected and get some work done. Nice of you to join.
Hello.
Just 2 hours late.
Some jerky.
Oh, that makes up for it. Mike's got chips and beef jerky. So Mike has brought snacks. Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, brother.
We haven't camped together in a while. I haven't camped much at all this year so far.
You've been out of state for like 3 months.
I know.
I feel like since before Christmas, right?
Yeah, I was gone for like 2 months.
Went to PA.
Yeah.
And now it's March.
It's March.
So.
This is only my 4th night camping, but today's the first day of spring. Do you know that?
I had no idea. Nice.
Real springy up here.
Yeah, a little chilly. Some snow on the ground.
So Mike brought his Tacoma. I don't think you guys have seen this in any of my videos. I've only seen it a handful of times, but iForce Max Tier D off-road on 37. So
37s,
yeah.
baby.
So same tire size on my Tundra. It looks crazy. Jake did the wrap, his black multicam. It's kind of like your old truck's back, a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of an ode to the 3rd gen, but a little extra flair on this one.
And drives nicer at the same time.
Oh, it drives so nice. Man. Drives so nice.
I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
I mean, honestly, everything about it's so nice. It's just, it's a nicer truck. Just can't be argued.
It is.
Longevity, reliability, okay, that could be argued, but everything else, no contest.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out his setup, we're not going to dive into it in my video, but he's filming too, so you can check that out. He's going to get set up, and now that I'm not alone, I think we're going to pull out the Howl and tuck it next to this rock here. It's windy kind of like everywhere. There's actually a red flag warning right now until 9 p.m. tonight, and it like comes and goes. It's blowing pretty good right now, but let's get this thing out and have a fire. Oh yeah. Well, it is windy outside.
Yeah.
But this is a good chance to test. I didn't get to film when Ashley and I were out the other day. You may have seen on my Instagram story, we cooked some food on a tailgate, but it was snowing and cold. It's cold now, and I don't know what the low is actually going to be, but this is what it's like with two people kind of chilling in here.
Yeah, I'd say 20, probably 20s outside. Probably get into the, probably not single digits, but probably get into the teens tonight.
Yeah, I think so, especially with the wind. So the howl was great while it lasted, but we each brought like half-filled propane tanks because that's how prepared we are.
We run out? Did we run out of propane?
It was getting low. It's also cold though. It was sitting in the snow.
Yeah.
I still have that tank there, which we could use, but yeah, we wanted to see what it was like hanging out in here. So I did turn the diesel heater on. That little adapter that I got works perfectly, and I don't have this thing absolutely cranking right now, but it's just kind of bouncing off one of the floor panels here, and it's not cold in here, but it's also not like super warm down below. It feels much better when you stand up in this area. So Mike is working on some dinner. We got Pete going on.
Fancy dinner.
Chicken coconut curry.
Chicken coconut curry.
Tight.
Yeah.
And
you
then,
got some of your own.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I brought.
Beef pasta marinara.
And then the cobbler for sure.
A little cob. We'll try not to get carbon monoxide poisoning in here.
Yeah, typically, like, I wouldn't want to cook or even boil water in something like this, but this thing is well ventilated. There are vents up there, and I could also crack open these little windows if I wanted to. I could simply open this whole thing up, but
the tailgate has huge gaps in it.
yeah, shout out to Toyota. No, that's a common thing with a lot of trucks. But
Yeah.
it's not a huge deal cooking in here. Condensation doesn't really matter because there's no wood and there's no fabric to rot or get moldy.
And
so
you got the fan up there if you really wanted to kick it on.
yeah. I mean, I could see, like, if it's pouring down rain outside, I could set up a cooktop right here and use that as, like, a bench to cook and just let everything go out.
Yeah, this is nice, having this whole area. Just like a little stand-up desk area.
Yeah.
And then you can see out the windows.
Yeah, if anyone drives past, you can peek out. Here's something that I haven't mentioned yet, but I did get a cover for my Dometic fan. This is just one that I found on Amazon, but Antishanty is actually making their own kind of shades like this. So I pulled the panel apart, put magnets behind it, and now this magnets into place right like that. Blocks out the sun and technically adds a little bit of insulation. I also ordered some for the windows, but they didn't come in yet. These are the Arctic Turn windows, and they are the 300 by 500. They do them in millimeters for whatever reason, and I ordered the wrong ones originally. So I have some shades coming in for that, and Antishanty, again, is making their own. They're also making a mattress and bug screens, but we'll talk about that later when we're going to bed.
All right.
You gonna eat this whole thing yourself?
Take down one by myself, but it is 850 calories in a single meal. Yours might be more, actually.
I think I'm gonna make the one I brought.
1,040.
Oh my gosh. And this isn't like a bad calorie thing either. They're made for backpacking.
Yeah, it's like pretty
and
good.
hiking.
It's like, what do we got? 44 grams of fat and also 44 grams of protein in this whole thing. So quite a bit. It's more. It has a little more per bag, I think, than like the Mountain House bags. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is the setup for now. Like I said, super modular. I think I am going to get like more kind of permanent fixtures, some that just like either bolt down or strap down. But for now, I mean, there's plenty of room. We just have like camera stuff and shoes, our boots kind of thrown everywhere, but
yeah, you kind of
roomy.
spread out. Yeah, you could get another person over here.
This is the benefit of a big bed too. You can haul a lot of stuff, but then also you have a lot of room if you're on a setup like this.
Yeah, because on the short bed, it'd be roughly here would like I'd be sitting I'd be sitting like here, basically.
Yeah, and we would be like,
yeah, it'd be
not
it's
uncomfortable,
doable. But yeah, I wonder how much room then your panel would be on the shore. I guess this just overhangs more.
It'll overhang more. Yep.
So you'd have the same space here.
Yeah, this wouldn't change.
Yeah, that'd be doable.
Yeah. Do we have enough for both?
I think so.
Another good thing about the diesel heater is that even though we're making condensation in here right now, diesel heat is super dry, so condensation really shouldn't be an issue tonight. It's definitely warming up in here because the snow has melted. I keep forgetting to take my shoes off. I set my own rule in the beginning of the video. Take your shoes off when you step on the BedRug.
Oh yeah, now my socks are wet. Yours aren't.
That's why I brought these. It is time to feast.
Man, they discontinued my favorite meal. Chicken, like cheesy chicken broccoli or something.
Ooh.
So good.
With the spiral noodles like these.
I think it had that.
Dang, there's a lot of meat in here. One bite. Everyone knows rules. Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty good at making peaks.
We made about 50 bags for people at that one expo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm like, forgot about that.
You're a peak master.
Actual professional.
It's time to watch Mike go crawl to his frozen death.
I'm looking forward to it.
At least you got thermals on underneath all your gear. Vertex thermals.
Yeah, boy.
The new Vertex sun shirts, for anyone who's curious, are awesome. I've been wearing them a bunch, but yeah, they're really good. All right, I know I'm gonna get asked this question. So when you close everything up, how do you get out?
Yeah.
So right here on these latches, if you press it, that's how you undo it. But the tailgate is obviously blocking it because the Tundra has a little lip. So with your key, you can press and hold, and the tailgate will drop. Just like that.
All right. Good night.
Good luck. You want your beef jerky? You need your camera?
Yeah.
All right, Starlink is on, so you can watch Netflix or whatever.
Sick.
Later. And now this is an example of how I've been closing it. I really need to put like a little latch kind of grab handle on the tailgate, but pull this up almost to the closed position. Grab the top portion, and then the top portion needs to close first because of the lip. And now if I had a handle here, I could do this a little easier, but I just kind of pull them together just like that. Make sure it's latched all the way. And now it's time to get ready for sleep. So up in the bed area now, I've got the red light on up here. Kingpin lighting, boom. The white is a little bit brighter on video. Also dimmable for whatever kind of mood you're in. Now let's talk about the sleeping situation a little bit. My diesel heater attachment has been good. I need to get like a little director here, almost like you would find on like a boat heater, so I can push the air whatever way I want to. But right now I've got one of the floor panels here just directing the air over. Hot air rises, so it's a little bit chillier down here, but it'll be warm up here. We got a knock on the door. Here's a blanket for you, good sir. Good luck. Now for the panels and putting them in place. We have the one long panel right here. So put one side down. I'm getting better at it. And then that Velcros into place so it doesn't slide around. I actually want to turn these lights back to red down here. And now for the final panels. One of them goes in right here. And now this is basically how I've been kind of starting the setup. I will probably close this all the way off tonight just so the heat stays up here in the actual dwelling. But I like doing it on this side because I have the fridge here to kind of step on now. The sleeping dimensions up here, if I remember right off the top of my head, I think it's 55 by 80. So very comparable to a lot of other canopy campers that are out there on the market right now. Some people were saying that it may not be enough room for them, but Ashley and I slept up here the other night and it was completely fine. Now once I roll this thing all the way out, actually, you know what? I have been sleeping like this, but I kind of want to try sleeping with my head down there for the night, because there's plenty of room at the end of this, and the diesel heater would be blowing like right across me instead of just on my feet. So I'm actually going to flip the roll around for the night. Now I think sleeping with my head at this end is going to be nice for the night because the diesel heater's right here, but then also in the morning I can wake up and sit up to views all around here. Probably not going to open all the doors in the morning because it's going to be frigid, but it's an option. Now to address a few more things that people were commenting on in my walkthrough video. Why doesn't it have a mattress? The Dwell Shell is still really new, and they actually have a prototype mattress that I saw when I visited Antishanty, but it's not available yet. They do have one that basically replaces the foam, carpeted foam on the top here, and I will definitely be giving that a try whenever it becomes available. And then I saw a ton of comments about bug screens. As of right now, I don't need bug screens. It's probably like 15 degrees outside right now. There are no bugs up in the altitude that we're in this freezing temperature. But bug screens are also on the way. I think they're going to be available like maybe even by the time this video goes live. It's going to be pretty soon, and they're going to be available for all the doors up here, so you can have bug screens. That will be nice in the summer. I don't need them right now, so it's not a big concern for me. Now I'm gonna crawl into the Badger bed and get comfortable. We're gonna switch into red light mode. Oh yeah. Good morning, everyone. You will notice that I'm sleeping in the opposite direction of how I fell asleep. So last night I laid here for like maybe an hour and a half with the diesel heater pumping in, and it was way too hot with it blowing in right on top of me. So I flipped around, slept the normal way for the night, and then about 30 minutes ago, I think the diesel heater finally ran out of fuel. I never filled it up all the way before coming up here, so I kind of figured that was going to happen, but it's cold now, but it's not completely terrible. I wish I would have put my pants in front of the diesel heater because these are like frozen now. I hate putting on cold socks and boots and pants and stuff in the morning, but hey, at least the sun is out. Hopefully it warms up a little bit. Cleaning up when it is this cold has got to be one of my least favorite things when it comes to winter camping. I almost don't even want to like wrap all this stuff up. I might just throw it in my bed and drive down to Denver where it's warmer. I think I'm gonna do that.
And rolling.
Yeah.
Well, see you in another year, maybe.
Yeah. See you next winter.
Yeah, we'll try to camp a little more.
See you next year.
Have fun. We'll do it again before too long, maybe.
I'm glad you're not a frozen popsicle. All right, now it's time for a big question that a few people asked, and it kind of makes sense to me because I can interact with this thing, but if you're not familiar with it, then hopefully this video will do justice. A couple people had asked me, hey Talon, what do you do if it's raining or if there's bad inclement weather? How do you close this thing up? Because isn't it going to be all wet? Yes, the outside of this is going to be wet, but right here, you have a rag. You can get any water off of it. But if it's actively raining, there's not a whole lot you can do. Some people actually express concern with water coming in like through these gaps right here as you are actively closing it up. And I guess that could be a thing, but then again, I'm standing in a truck bed, so everything down here can get a little wet. It's not going to be the worst thing ever. I still have the top portion here kind of giving me a little bit of protection from the elements. And if it wasn't 15 degrees out here, I could probably put this thing away just as quickly as I set it up in the beginning of the video. So I can fold in that main panel there. Again, if it's raining, it would have to be raining inwards like this to get anything wet in here. This gives me an opportunity to wipe down the panels up here if I choose to do that, which I am not choosing to right now. I'm just trying to fold this thing up and go sit in the warmth of my truck. So one panel, another panel, and now I can pull this thing closed. So even while it is freezing cold out here, I still put that away pretty dang quickly. If you're that worried about your gear getting wet, maybe camping's not for you. Well, we did it. Truck is reading 27 degrees outside, but with the wind chill up here, I definitely think it's a little bit more than that. Now the roads out of here are probably going to be even worse than coming up here yesterday because everything is even more frozen than it was. It was about 45 degrees when I got here yesterday, so I'm sure it's going to be icy and kind of frozen going down. So I guess that's it. That was the first day of spring camping, and it still doesn't feel like spring. It will soon enough, though. I think in the next couple of weeks I'm going to do some desert trips, probably like southern Utah, and soak up a little bit of that warmth. Hopefully a little bit more sunlight. Less elevation means less snow. So looking forward to that. I'm not sure what vehicle I'm going to take. I actually just got word that I have a new setup ready for the Tacoma. So I'm going to be switching some things out on my Diamondback cover. That's the perfect platform to mount stuff to for that vehicle. And I've got something new going on there very soon. So you guys will see that in a future video. If you have any questions, more comments, or really anything around the Antishanty Dwell Shell, let me know in the comments down below, and I will leave a bunch of links in the description too for a lot of the things that I talked about here today. So if you're new, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every single week, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. So thank you for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.